My husband and I have 4 kids. They range in age from 32 to 16 to 11, and then we have a 4-year-old. Now I know what you're thinking. How is it possible that she has a 32-year-old? I mean, she doesn't look old enough, and you are certainly right in that. Well, we have a blended family. When Tony and I married, he had his son Christopher, who was 19 at the time, and I had John William, who was 3 at the time. And so when we got married, we became a blended family. Now, something was a little bit different about our blended family because my friends, like if I knew couples that were blended, usually all of their children were home. So her kids, his kids, they were all there together and they lived together, and that wasn't the case for us. See, Christopher was in his first year at Texas State University. So he lived in Texas and Tony and I lived in Phoenix, Arizona. So it was just the 3 of us. However, Christopher would come home for holidays and summer vacations, and that's when I kind of noticed some struggles. Not horrible, but things that we had to work through. One of them was the age difference, because Christopher was 19, John was 3. Christopher had been an only child his whole life, and now he had to share his dad with me and a 3-year-old stepbrother, and he had 0 tolerance for toddlers. He just did not know how to deal with little kids, which was fine. You know, we had to have a lot of conversation there and be like, you know, he whines because he doesn't know how to communicate well, and just try to be patient, and he wasn't. But every time he would come home to visit, it would get better and better. And some of that had to do with the fact that John was growing and maturing and he could communicate. Then he liked video games, and Christopher liked video games. And they liked movies and superheroes. And so they found this common ground that allowed them to bond. The other age difference that was different or unique to our blended family was that Christopher and I are only 9 years apart. So there's 9 years between me and Chris. There's 10 years between me and Tony. So I'm kind of right in the middle. So I didn't feel like a stepmom to Christopher because I never had to parent him. He was already grown and already in his first year of college. And so sometimes when he'd come home, it's like hanging out with a friend, and there was really no parenting involved. But as time went on, my feelings toward Christopher changed. I always loved him and I always liked him, but I never felt like I needed to parent him. But once that time went by and Christopher would go through different trials in his life or job situations or relationship situations, I definitely felt the need to protect him, to guide and encourage him. And I also feel the desire to provide for him when he needs that extra help. And that's definitely the way I feel about the 3 little kids that are still at home. So I do believe after a period of time, my feelings for him have turned more parental-like in the respect that I do want to make sure he is taken care of. And I feel a responsibility to be the one to take care of him in that way. Now, when Mia was born, Christopher still had the same issues with dealing with toddlers. He's just not a fan of little ones. And now we have Vince, and it's the same thing. But just like with John, as Mia got older, they developed a stronger relationship and a greater bond. And I know that as Vincent grows, that will be the same. They will bond, and it will be a good thing. Parenting issues. For me coming in and being a single mom and now having a dad in the picture was a little bit of a struggle. I wanted Tony and John to have this relationship that was perfect. I mean, unicorns, rainbows, and monster trucks. Like, I didn't want there to be any conflict. I didn't want there to be anything that would put any kind of division between them. And so what would happen is I would micromanage their relationship. If there was a discipline issue and I felt like Tony was being too harsh, I would step in. Or if John was getting in trouble, I would be like, let me just handle it. I'll take care of it. And that caused some tension, as you can imagine. Tony is a great father. I knew that just from his relationship with Christopher while we were dating. I knew he was a good dad. But I could not get myself out of the way to allow him to be the parent. So lots of conversations for us to work through to figure out how to parent together. And of course, now we have Mia and Vincent, who we still have to parent. And honestly, it's the same as parenting with John, except Tony doesn't feel as guarded. And that kind of hurts me sometimes when we have those conversations that I created that. So I want to encourage you to be careful with that. If you're looking to have a blended family or you're dealing with a blended family, be careful, know what's expected. And that's what Tony and I had to do, is sit down and be like, what do you expect with this discipline? What are our boundaries? What are our expectations of John? What are our expectations for each other? And we're figuring that out. And then honestly, it's not really just with John, it's with Christopher, and it's with Mia and Vincent as well. I was talking to Mia the other day, and I asked her, what do you think about our blended family? And she said, it's just our family. She said, John and Christopher are my brothers. They're not my half-brothers. They're just my brothers. And it just put a big smile on my face, because she's right. Our family is not just a blended family. It's not a blended family. It's just become our family. So I want to encourage you. Our blended family has been a great thing. And so if you're looking at blending a family, or maybe you just blended and you're starting off, it's going to get better and better as time goes on. Let me encourage you to respect one another, to listen to one another, and to give yourselves time to bond and become a family unit that is strong and loving.